big G versus Gods with a little g by Andrew Strateletes. Which God is God? An atheist asks, which supreme being is the right one? There is only one supreme being. We theists, or religious folks, or just philosophically minded theists with no religion, disagree on what exactly God is like or unlike. We even disagree on whether it is a he or an it, occasionally she, but we all agree there is only one. To drive this point home, let's take examples of what is usually called polytheism, ancient Greek and Roman religion, and modern Hinduism. If you were a student of Aristotle and Plato in the ancient Greek world, you probably worshipped various gods, from your household deity to ones that dealt with things in your life and profession. If you were an engineer, you likely belonged to the cult of Mercury, for example. In addition to these religious practices, you also believed that there was a distant first mover, a supreme being that created all the others through some sort of emanation. That is, the creation of a bunch of mediating divine beings, smaller divine beings. Similarly, if you were a Stoic, you would have believed in practiced rites associated with various gods, but would have believed, at least in the advanced versions of Stoicism, that Zeus was the eternal father of gods and men, and supreme above all. You would have read the legends of Zeus's creation as the son of Croesus as an allegory describing how time was unimpeded, but reality a creation of Zeus's providence as well. You may have also thought that those other gods were simply aspects of the single Zeus's power. Zeus, in Greek, is the same term basically as Deus, D-E-U-S, instead of Z-E-U-S. Both words, in advanced meaning, are the same word as God. If you are a Hindu, you believe that there are thousands of gods, but that they are all created by Brahma, or sometimes Vishnu, who dreams the world into being. This is a bit different than all the little gods, wouldn't you say? You may believe all the little gods are aspects of the Brahma or Vishnu or whatever, like the Stoics did, but you know the ultimate God is the one responsible for all of it. Now, just because there are multiple views on a thing doesn't mean that thing doesn't exist. It's like saying which nature is right. Quantum physics, general relativity, and biology describe such different worlds. Both quantum physics and Einstein's relativity are right in some contexts and wrong in others. The same goes for biology or chemistry. Similarly, religions are right about some aspects of God and possibly wrong about others. Those of us who are Orthodox Christians believe that Christianity is the superset of all those correct beliefs, but that there is much truth to all other religions, or most of them, except silly comical ones. To use another concrete example, let's say that you were trying to guess whether or not I owned a car. If I own a car, it could be a Subaru, a Ford, a Chevrolet, or one that I constructed from the WikiSpeed blueprints. The fact that there are many possible makes and models of car I could own doesn't suddenly make it less likely that I own a car, or make Andrew doesn't own a car a better bet. Just because you don't know what kind of car I have, that's not a reason to assume there's no car. In a similar way, just because there are different understandings of what God, the Supreme Being, is exactly, doesn't mean it's less likely that He exists, and that some people have better ideas than others about God. The classic atheist accusation that theists believe in a sky fairy or their imaginary friend comes from a similar confusion between a supreme being and mere little gods. A sky fairy would be like those little gods that a Greek or Hindu might create a statue of. It's not the same as Zeus or the Stoics or the Brahma of the Hindus or Iwazu of the Bantu philosophers and religions. Fairies are supernatural, but they're created beings that resemble humans and have magical powers. In Western cultures, magical powers are those that can be commanded by human actions, appropriate sacrifices, deals, and so forth. If you were to ask a student of Aristotle or one of the great Greek Stoic philosophers whether they could command the prime mover or Zeus, they'd laugh at you. Of course you can't. The prime mover was totally transcendent, and the Zeus was the general manager of the universe and mankind. You would pray to him, but you followed his commands, not the other way around. So, the sky fairy that atheists think people believe in is nothing like anyone's conception of God. The sky fairy is their idea, not serious people who believe in God. The atheist view literally of God is as if it's a little god, like Thor or some kind of elf that comes around and brings you presents. Most serious-minded theists, practically all, do not see God in such simple terms. This is like mistaking a hamburger for a cook or a chef. It's just not a smart comparison. What would you do if an otherwise normal adult mistook a hamburger for the person who cooked the hamburger? You'd laugh at them. This is why smart people laugh at atheists who make this mistake. Now, many atheists would argue that this is a case of special pleading, but if you've been following along, it's clear that this is not the case. A cook is different than a hamburger, and the supreme being, God with a big G, is different than a mere god who makes thunder and lightning and throws rocks from the sky, if such creatures do exist. That ends God versus Gods by Andrew Strateletes, and we at Escaping Atheism would also like to leave you this classic message from Professor Eve Kanainen on how to atheist on the internet. We'll let you read this for yourself, and once you do, you'll probably see why. Serious-minded people who believe in God, internet atheists look pretty funny to us. So have a good one, and God bless.